Sorry about that. I'm feeling the Christmas vibe. I just finished Home Alone. What a movie that is. Best Christmas movie ever. And now I'm here. Good evening to you all. 5 days until Christmas. Transfer news today. Trevoh Chalobah is the objective, as reported by Sky Sports Italy today. Today, Thiago Pinto has officially asked Chelsea informations and therefore suggesting that Trevoh Chalobah could be a very big name in this January window. So look, I mean, we're going to discuss about this today because this is a transfer which I would promote, but at the same time, this transfer shows you how incoherent this project that we're following is. So we'll get into this. We are going to get into this. Also, the fact that we've got the transfer window starting in a few days. When I say a few days, I mean a few weeks. I just want to start off by asking everybody a very simple question. But it's a question which I think everybody here has different opinions on. I definitely have different opinions on. And it's a question which it's not easy to answer right now. So my question to everybody here, in fact it's two questions, but treat it as one. My question is, what do you want realistically? Remember the realistic bracket when we speak about Roma. Realistically, who do you want in this January window? That's number one. And realistically, how many players do you think we will get in the transfer window? I want everybody to let me know about this because I want to know what you guys think. I want to see if there's any realistic answers to this. I'm gonna say mine. How many players do I want is different to how many players I think we'll buy. How many players I want is obviously realistically always I'd get 2/3. 2/3 players will not happen. Therefore, I think we're gonna get one. I genuinely think we're gonna get one. And if that's the case, then it needs to be a careful decision because buying one single player is kind of an in and out decision because you could get it right, but you could also get it wrong if you only base your January window on one single player. Because if that player then gets injured, what happens? We fall back in the well. What happens if that player doesn't fit the system? We fall back in the well. What happens if a player like Ndika gets injured? Then we're back in the same position. So buying one player is definitely what I think we will do because I just can't see Roma spending money on more than one player. So it needs to be extremely careful. It needs to be extremely careful. It needs to be efficient. It needs to be careful, and it needs to be quick. When I say quick is not the same as rushed. Quick is not the same as rushed, and that's very important. Because a rushed transfer window is a mess. A quick transfer window is an efficient one. So that is the real question. Are we able to get somebody quick? Because Ndika will be leaving for AFCON before we will even notice. So can we get a replacement quick? And can we get a good replacement, therefore an efficient one? And this is exactly where we bring Chalobah in. Chelsea player, young player. And I like the fact that we are interested in these generational talents, let's call them. And I am all up for this signing. But then you look at the current situation of Chalobah and the fact that currently he's injured. And then the last game he played with Chelsea was a few months ago. And then you're like, well, that isn't efficient. And once again, that shows you how incoherent this project is. So, again, I would be very careful in signing Chalobah. I think if he was not injury prone, it would be a perfect defender. But then again, you ask yourself, if he wasn't injury prone, why would Chelsea get rid of him? If he wasn't injury prone, why wouldn't he stay in the Premier League? And if he wasn't injury prone, why would a team who's not playing in the Champions League be interested in him? And this is always the same. It's always the same. This was like this with Dybala. It was like this with Renato Sanchez. It was like this with Wijnaldum. It was like this with what's his name? Slightly Paredes, but not necessarily. It's always like this. There's a reason if nobody wants Chalobah, because Chalobah is a good defender. He's scored goals for Chelsea. He's a good defender. He's a Cobham boy. He grew up at Chelsea. He knows that Premier League culture experience. He knows how to play big games. If he wasn't injury prone, why would we be interested in him? And why would we be in a position to kind of lead the race in signing him? And it's always the same. It's always the same, which brings us back to the very beginning. If we get Chalobah now, and now time of speaking, the 20th of December, he's injured, then we're clearly not learning from our mistakes. And we're clearly being, once again, showing how incoherent this project is. Because it feels like we're doing this on purpose. We've got a manager who complains about injuries, and we've got a team who is devastated by injuries, and yet every time we have an opportunity to buy a player, we buy an injury-prone player. I mean, it looks like a Pinocchio fairy tale. It feels like we do this on purpose to, I don't know, mock the fans or mock the team. And I don't think that's good enough. Single-handedly, Chalobah would be perfect, 100%. But it's a player who has a lot of question marks around him. If we get the injury part away from him, this is a perfect signing. This is a perfect signing, which links into what Jose said a few days ago. Maybe it's better to sign young players than, middle-aged players who are in the middle of their career and we can't get the best out of them anymore. Maybe it's best to get somebody who still has a future ahead of him and still can improve from his own fitness levels, from his own, personal experience. So in terms of that, it would be great. I've said it many times how I would like to see Roma adopt a more younger profile project rather than Deadwood project. And I understand that the complexity of doing such a project under the circumstances of FFP are very complicated. But I would love to see signings like Chalobah. Even better if these signings aren't injury prone. So yeah, I'm a bit mixed around this Chalobah. What does everybody feel? Is it a yes? Is it a no? Would we buy him? Would we take this risk? He's injury prone. He's injured right now. Would we take this risk knowing that Smalling is injured? It's just a bit of I've got a lot of question marks when it comes to that. But again, I do want to focus on one little thing before moving forward, which is this incoherence. Because I just don't understand where this project is bringing us. And I think that's the perfect way to define this. I'm not trying to be negative here, but I'm asking a genuine question. What is the final product of the project that we are currently fulfilling? What is the ultimate goal, and what will this project ultimately bring? And that's my question. Because if you have a project where you want to buy big names, but they can't be big names, but let's act as if they're big names to give Mourinho immediate success, it's not working out. But then you have Mourinho, who after Bologna said, maybe it's time, he publicly said this, clearly sending a message to the ownership, I want to stay. Maybe it's time to change a new project. Maybe it's time to avoid spending money on injury-prone players, and maybe it's time to experiment with something new. And then, therefore, you have a mix of these two things, and then 2 days after that game, 3 days after that game, we are reading that Roma's interested in, yes, a young player, but an injury-prone player. And I ask myself a lot of questions. And the biggest question which I ask myself is, do the Fredkins and Mourinho speak to each other? Because it feels like this situation and this incoherence of this project, it literally feels like Goldilocks and the Three Bears not communicating with each other. Because it's not making sense. The initial project is this. 3 years after, 2.5 years after, having signed the contract for this project, Mourinho says maybe it's time to change this up. 3 days after he says this, we're back interested in injury-prone players. There is an immense state of confusion at this team that partly is due to the fact that the ownership doesn't speak. And that is important. I think that's a massive factor to this because we have no idea as fans. And again, it's not the fans who need to maybe care about this. It's interior things. But, if the ownership doesn't speak, we just don't know and we'll never get an idea of where we want to bring this project to. And therefore, it's extremely complicated with the ownership which doesn't speak to actually think about the future because you have no idea what they're having in mind or what they're planning. And I think this is one of the first things to change. I've mentioned this already, but do they speak to each other? That is my question. Do they speak about each other? Because not about each other, not like, is your day good? Well, what do you want to eat? No. Do they speak about Roma with each other? Or is it just a cold relationship between the two? And that's something which I would love to know. Because what I'm seeing right now is a project which nobody knows a clue of how to get through. And that, in my opinion, is not good enough. But I mean, again, speaking about Chalobah, in terms of other names that we've been linked with Tiat, we've been linked with the Kiwior from Arsenal, however, it's a complicated deal. We've been linked with a lot of players. Most of them are young players, and this is something new, and I am happy about this because at least they've got a career ahead of them. But again, the problem is we are really in no position to take risks right now. We are in no position to take risks. We are in no position to take, first of all, we're in no position to take, risks in general. Because already we're not living a massive moment in the league. We're 8th. I don't think anybody here expected this team to be 8th by Christmas at the start of the season. So we have clearly disappointed. So we cannot make risks because we need to push this project through until the end of the season at its max. So yeah, and in secondary, we can't take risks when it comes to finances. So if I need to spend money on Chalobah, but he's injured, and from when he comes in to when he will leave, he will only guarantee me 4 games, then no, once again, as we said yesterday, I would rather save the money and promote my academy defender. So again, efficiency. I like to use this term because it's massive. It's key. It's the key to success, in my opinion, and it's something which we've gotten wrong so much over these past seasons. Efficiency has been terrible in these transfer windows. And then look, the last thing which I'll give you a perfect example of a signing we need in January. We need a signing like Sergio Oliveira 2 years ago. That is the profile that we need. Not in terms of the position he plays in, but in terms of the signing itself. That is the signing Roma needs. That was a perfect signing. I would love to get Sergio Oliveira back. I don't know why, but I really liked Oliveira. Maybe, I don't know. It's the fact that we won a trophy with him, the fact that he played a lot of games, the fact that he played that incredible game when we won against Lazio 3-0. Sergio Oliveira has left my heart in a very good way. So he's obviously living life at Galatasaray, but he's a player I'd love to get back. This has nothing to do with what we're speaking about. But in terms of an example, that's the profile we need. Not too expensive. Because it was a loan, not too distractionary, not too inefficient. It was good, it was quick, good player, guaranteed games, guaranteed contributions, guaranteed, profile, impacts, wasn't injury prone. That's the player we need. And at the end of the day, he wasn't expensive. He was not expensive at all. It was a loan. This would be a loan too. One of the reasons why I think we are interested in Chalobah is because I think we've cultivated a great relationship with Chelsea. With the Lukaku deal and all of that, I think Todd Bowley and Dan Friedkin are really good friends. Both are American. But yeah, I think we've cultivated a good relationship with Chelsea over these past seasons. So I'm not surprised that in an emergency need of us getting a defender, we are relying on our good old friends. Yeah, but I'm very curious. Excuse me once again. I am very curious to see and to know what everybody thinks about this because I think it's a transfer which will divide a lot. Yes, I would want him. No, he's too injury prone. What do we think? Let me know. Home Alone is class, not gonna lie. Home Alone is the to-go film during the Christmas period. There is literally no comparison when it comes to Christmas films. I could watch Home Alone every day, and trust me, I would not get bored. It's just so good. It's the music, it's the plot, it's the characters. It's just everybody told. When I was younger, I was way more blonder than this. I'm not blonde right now, but when I was younger, I was extremely blonde, and everybody who I met said you literally the what's his name, the not the clone of Kevin. Everybody said that to me, and since then, Home Alone, I can watch it every day. Chalobah, Mancini, and Ndika is a great defense if all in good form. I agree. Question is, can they all be in good form? That's always the question. Because Smalling, at the start of the season, Smalling, Ndika, and Mancini would have also been a great defense. But then get one of them out because he's never played. I actually argue that Mancini, Llorente, and Ndika aren't a bad defense as well. But then you look at the current situation, Mancini injured. I'm not making that up. Mancini is injured. He'll be out for the Napoli game. It's hell. It's absolutely hell. If I can give an advice to anybody here, if you celebrate Christmas, get the best out of it. Because get a break from Roma. Get a break from this injury crisis. Get a break. Trust me, get a break. Hello, Mohammed. Hello. I'm great. How are you? Simo, I want to go to the Feyenoord game, but I will need to come all the way from Israel. Should I go? You mean the home game? Why not? I mean, we all know what happened last season. We hate them. It's going to be a massive game. Tickets are out tomorrow for the... There are basically 3 stages for the Europa League tickets. So if you're a Serie A season ticket holder like me, the ticket sale starts tomorrow. So I will get my ticket tomorrow. Then you've got the second phase, which starts, I believe, after Christmas for the Europa League games season ticket holders. And then once these 2 phases are gone, you've got the free phase where everybody can get a ticket. So yeah, I would say so. Plus, if you've never been to Rome, it's always a great trip. And while you're visiting, it's such a beautiful city. Pop a Roma game, and your tour will be complete. I think we'll get one defender for Ndika, and that's it. In this transfer window, I want Ibanez back, and I think we'll get 3-2 players. Oh, wow, you think we're going to get 3-2 players? I would love to think that too. What is Chalobah's fitness? Is he injured still? How can we sign him? How then can we sign him? Yeah, I believe he is injured. He hasn't been playing much. I love Chalobah, but we really need to check out his fitness properly. If he's fit, it can be great because we can get him on loan. Thiat would have to spend money for it. Doubt Ren will loan him. Thiat, in my opinion, could be better for us, but I would love Chalobah, but not injured. Do we need a goalkeeper? Not in January. I'm reading that Villar will get more opportunities in January. So, yeah. The Turkish league is some gems which we can mine. What a metaphor. Chalobah is a strange signing to me, says Curtis. Hello, Leo. Do we need a midfielder in January Mercato? I mean, if you ask me, do we need a player? I will always say yes, because the more players we have, the better. But it's not the priority, and I don't think it will happen. If we make top 4, I think we can still go after big names. But if we don't get Champions League next season, then for sure we gotta focus on signing young talents with good scouting. That and academy guys. I think in January, Roma should look for a long-term Rui Patricio replacement, such as Alban Lafont from Nantes. It's kind of obvious the ownership wants to move out, and they are giving him the bare minimum to blame him once the season fails again. I disagree. They don't want Mourinho out. They are waiting for results, and you can't blame them for doing that. This team desperately needs Champions League football. I don't think they want Mourinho out. If he doesn't get Champions League football, I just can't see them presenting a contract extension. They will have to wait. I think, and I know a lot of people have said this, and I've been told that it's gonna happen. The Fredkins are going to consider, and I'm gonna answer the question yes or no, Mourinho will stay in February. Because in February, you've got this incredible, complicated calendar done. In February, you've got the Europa League playoff. So this next, from now until February, is the moment to decide. In February, they will decide, 100%. Couldn't be more convinced. Right, I'm going to talk to you tomorrow with the match preview. Massive game, the most important game of the season so far. So come back tomorrow for the Roma Napoli match preview. If you haven't already, do smash a like, subscribe to the channel. You know it supports this channel and single video a lot. So please do subscribe. And before leaving this video, hit that like. It supports this community a lot. Yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you think about this deal and this move. And I will talk to you soon. Simon out.